Okay, I'd like to introduce or invite up to the stage the next two panelists. So Florian from EyeEm, and let's give Florian a big round of applause. And Ivan from Avia Sales, who seems to have disappeared, so perhaps we'll start without him. Florian, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself for those who haven't seen you today?
Sure, absolutely. For those of you who haven't heard that we actually launched today in Russia, we're super excited about it. The feedback is amazing. So EyeEm is on the verge of becoming the biggest independent mobile photo community in the world. We're live in actually 50 countries. We just surpassed 5 million downloads. It's actually an honor to be on the panel with you guys, like with the companies that are way longer in the market, and I'm excited to discuss what kind of impact you have. So Foursquare is actually building a location data, or the location layer of the social web. We do is actually, our platform develops a contextual layer on top of that. So think about, I mentioned that earlier, street art, for instance, or architecture or design. If you come to us, we can show you the content and where you find this. So what we can tell you is, look for the coolest places in Moscow where you can find cool street art. If you want to find out that, come to us. Thanks.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so we're going to kick off with a look at the sort of post-purchase travel. So if I start with you, Charles, I mean, there's a big opportunity, obviously, for companies to curate people's trips. So I mean, we saw TripAdvisor had their city guides. To what extent are Foursquare kind of helping travellers to curate their trips?
Yeah, I mean, TripAdvisor's been doing it for a really long time and doing it so well. I mean, I use it still, even though I use Foursquare when I travel. I use TripAdvisor to plan my trips for sure. And I think they're super complementary, and to this point, I think we will work together for obvious reasons. But I think, what we do really well is it's a community of not just users, but also brands. So you see the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, MTV, celebrities will leave tips behind for their fans. A lot of time repurposing content that already exists. Food critics for the London Times are going to be writing about restaurants anyway. They might as well get that same content in the form of a tip on Foursquare at a restaurant. So in that way, we do have a lot of content like that on Foursquare.
And do people use more the personal tips or the stuff that's written by the postal?
The algorithms of our mobile clients, the different applications, it depends on how many friends you have on Foursquare. So some people like to curate a very small friend base on Foursquare, which is one of the reasons I think we've had success. It's kind of a fresh start for people to share a lot more than they're willing to share on Facebook, similar to what's going on with Path right now. And for people who have few friends, we might service up more of those branded tips in the post-check-in experience. But if you have a lot of friends, you're going to see tips from them right in your face when you check into a place. Your friend James recommends the salmon because it's really good, and don't get this. And that's the way we think about it.
Okay, and Rory, I mean, I guess one of the challenges when you're travelling, particularly in Russia, is that the data charges are so high, which I think a few of us who've come over are certainly feeling the pinch. What do you do to combat that, and how are you using city guides in a kind of post-purchase phase?
Yeah, so City Guides was, again, it's built by product engineers who really think through the use case and trying, again, to make sure the benefits of the customer are quite real. So it solves a problem. The problem is that when people travel, they don't want to use their data roaming, so it's very expensive. And it's not necessarily the case in Europe, but when you travel internationally to America, or from America to Russia, very, very expensive. So one thing we did was we said, well, how can the product help solve that problem for people so that it makes their trip better, and we can, again, kind of hit our brand mission. And so we use offline maps, which is based on OpenStreetMap technology, very smartly done, and in fact, it's actually a better experience than using web because it's actually faster. Natives on your phone, we can populate, you can pinch, you can zoom really quickly. It's a beautiful experience, and it's all about, again, trying to solve that use case for the traveler specifically.
Okay, and Flo, in terms of curating, someone who's into, like you mentioned, street art or graffiti or architecture, are you seeing your users kind of using the service to curate their trip around Moscow, for example?
Absolutely. I mean, one absolutely super important aspect is in our app basically the round you feature. So you just pop out the subway, open up the app and actually see who are the individuals actually seeing stuff around you and putting yourself into their perspectives. And it's definitely like this serendipitous, inspiration. Like what could I do? Is there an event around the corner? Is there some cool stuff on a wall? Or is there a nice location, obviously? And that's something definitely what people do. It's more actually like this in-situation inspiration kind of thing what we're doing, rather than like in advance like planning, I'd say.
Okay. Ivan, let's perhaps you can introduce yourselves, and then I'll move back to my first question that I was going to start with when you weren't here. So Ivan, if you introduce yourself.
Thank you, James. Hello, guys. So my name is Kozlov, and I work at sales, data room, in the position of product manager. I manage all mobile products in our company. In the US and in the UK, we are better known as jetradar.com. So who we are? We are just air tickets, better search engine. Our business is helping our users to find reasonable tickets among many different OTAs, online ticketing agencies, and airlines. So that's it.
Okay, so my first question to you is perhaps if you could give a very, I mean, Rory touched on it in his presentation, but a quick overview of the market in Russia in terms of who's buying flights online, on mobile. I mean, it seems a lot of people are still picking up the telephone and calling to book their flights.
Yes, right. So in 2012, only 15% of all tickets were bought in online. So and other 85% were bought in travel companies and other offline offices and so on. So only 15%. On the West, in the UK and in Europe, more than 65-70% bought online.
So that clearly states that there's some barriers in the way, but clearly, as Rory stated in his presentation, there's some big opportunities. So what are the one or two things that need to change in the market to drive growth?
So I think we need just one main thing. We need just a little bit time. Maybe it sounds strange, but people in Russia really need time because Russian people sometimes are really scared of buying things online. So I'm talking about e-commerce. So the m-commerce is much more difficult for them. So people in Russia really love cash, and cash and online can't live together. That's it. We need just a little bit more time.
Okay, I'm conscious that we want to finish at 7 o'clock. So, are there any questions? I know there was a couple of questions. I think there's one over here for Charles. So, have we got a? Okay.
I guess I have a general question for somebody that want to pick it up. We've been talking about payments, and what's your appetite if we're looking at TripAdvisor or Foursquare or anybody else to launching your own payment solution that is like a stored value account, or to partner up with some of the biggies like Visa, where I come from, or PayPal and so forth?
Cool. Okay, go ahead. I'll take it off.
Yeah, so I think these guys obviously do a lot of stuff there. So our partners include American Express, they include Visa. They work with us because we focus on the travel audience who are high spenders. It's a great brand affiliation. I think when it comes to payments, we're just sort of, we're looking into it, we are investigating it. It's a very, very complicated space, payments, and especially on mobile, it's even more complicated. There's a lot of structural issues, such as there's like very little inventory of deals globally in one language. So we like to do things on a global basis. So we require many languages, many restaurant deals, or many kind of hotel deals, etc. Those deals are not necessarily there. The payment solution in the mobile app doesn't necessarily not so clear, and the customer wants. So we always think about the customer first. So what do they want? They want choice. So in our payment solution, if we were to build one in the future, it'll be all about the customer, how to make their transactions make sense for them. So we want to be very agnostic towards the customer and towards payment. I think that's the solution we're looking for. And we're willing to work with partners who can offer that kind of solution.
A little bit different for us, but a lot of the same points apply totally. I mean, payments is super complex. Payment processing versus what you do at Visa is a whole nother ballgame, right? It's American Express is every element of the ecosystem. That's why we actually launched our first payment partnership with them almost 2 years ago at this point. But now we can do this with MasterCard and Visa as well. But it's really interesting for us because it's very logical for when you're engaging with merchants the way you do on Foursquare. You're saying you're there, you're using your mobile device anyway. We've had these conversations since day one, but we view it as a funnel. Our first monetization is happening at the top when you're making a decision on where to go. Then when you get there, you can check in or not. But if you make a payment, we want to know that. So we don't want to be a payments company, but we need to partner with folks to have that ad at the top of the funnel, be able to track to what somebody spent, because then we're doing something nobody's ever really done. And that's what we're doing in the United States already. It's launched in the UK as well, but to Rory's point, it's really hard technically. We've actually partnered with a company called CardSpring in the US, which is able to be a layer that you can build into your service, so you can accept Visa and MasterCard accounts, and they work with First Data mostly, which is the biggest payment processor in the US, and allows us to get good coverage of the millions of places we have in our database. So we want to be involved in payments. One of my colleagues on the business development team, that's all he does every day, all day, is work with payments companies. But we're not going to be one ourselves.
Does anyone else on the panel have anything to add to that? No. Okay. So, Flo, we were discussing earlier about, to go back to the topic of travel, about how you've done some work with Lufthansa and particularly around kind of content marketing. Can you sort of explain how that works and the kind of uplift that Lufthansa have had from that?
First of all, I mean, content in general, how big company like Lufthansa, for instance, they run massive Facebook sites, basically, where they need to engage with their audiences, travelers, basically, on a global scale, in local markets as well. And obviously, they find content on sites like Getty or Quarters, Victoria, Shutterstock, you name them. But it's very like this high-end stuff, which is pre-shot, very expensive stuff. And what these companies figure is, like Lufthansa, like Nike, that there's different kind of content in these things created by you guys, by us, which is way more authentic and social. And what doesn't exist yet is actually a platform that delivers that in real time on a location basis to companies like Lufthansa. And this is something where we see huge potential. We soft monetize that already, so I've got a lot of big clients actually we do that with. It's not super focused at the moment, but we see that it's actually working pretty nicely. So, for instance, let's say a company like Lufthansa, I'm not like bringing up the use case, but they have, for instance, managing their Facebook sites or blogs or Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts. They need content for Brazil because the travel topic of the week is Brazil. So then they could tell us in the end, we need photos of airports, of bars and nightclubs in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. On a particular day, the photos has to be black and white, taken by girls between 16 and 24, who are wearing orange hats and whatnot. So tell me any other photo platform in the world who can deliver that. We can actually do that. And that's kind of the stuff where, from a content marketing perspective, I believe it's a blue ocean currently created, where none of the big players has a clue how to figure that out.
But I mean, in terms of if you look at that that would typically be something that would come through the agency, the advertising agency of Lufthansa.
So what we haven't done is actually spoken directly to agencies because we just didn't want to share with them, to be honest. But it's definitely like a question of like scaling it up. We see a lot of need there, absolutely.
Okay, I mean, I guess that slightly moves on to Charles. I mean, you mentioned very briefly during your presentation about the partnership with American Express. Again, this is something the brand is coming directly to you guys rather than perhaps typically in the past they would have gone through an advertising agency. How does that work? Perhaps you could talk a bit more about the partnership with American Express, how it worked, and how you see these relationships directly with the brands growing over time.
Yeah, well, I can talk about American Express, but the way we monetize now, it's only been 12 months. So basically last May, we launched promoted products on Foursquare. The company was 3 years old before we generated any revenue. But we have a sales team that calls on those accounts directly, just like a traditional advertising business, and they work with agencies. So they work with both the brand directly and their agencies. American Express, back to the payments point, that's the future of our business. Those partnerships that allow us to capture the payment and know that we delivered an ad when somebody's using Foursquare Explorer and searching for what to do, that led them to go there, and that led them to make a purchase. We can set a price for not only a Starbucks, but Rory's coffee shop can also someday buy some ad inventory on Foursquare and say, you know what, we're only going to pay if people make certain purchases. And that's going to be a fantastic model for us. And the Amex partnership is we work directly with them. Our APIs talk to one another. So you're syncing your Amex account to your Foursquare account. You only do it once, and then when you're out and about in the US or in the UK, you'll see these deals. And when you check into the venue, you don't need to show your phone to anyone. You don't need to tell the people you're with that you're saving money. You just check in, you redeem the special, and then at the end of the meal, you pay with your Amex card, and you're just going to get a notification on your statement that you saved money. So it's this seamless redemption, very different from the way mobile couponing has worked, and worked poorly, even for us. We've done specials since day one, and it's just a cumbersome, kind of broken process. So we're very focused on these credit card specials, which now we can do with Visa and MasterCard, but I'd love to have them in Russia tomorrow, but it doesn't work like that. It's a very complex engineering problem and a partnership problem. So that's kind of Amex.
Okay, quickly before we move on, in terms of your users, your Foursquare users, has there been any backlash towards these promoted places?
Yeah, no. I actually expected more, but I think what was happening was all these brands and agencies and merchants were using Foursquare for free and doing all of this stuff. So the fact that we're allowing them to promote it and delineate it clearly that it's a promoted piece of content hasn't really changed the experience very much. Merchants were already, how it started before I got there, people were putting their chalkboards out on the street of Chicago and saying, check in here to get $1 off your beer, or the mayor eats for free. People were literally writing this on chalkboards. So we built it. We built it into the app. It wasn't Dennis's initial idea even, and now that's our business. It's lead gen for merchants, just like these guys are lead gen for merchants. We're just doing it all on mobile and trying to do it in a different way, because competing with big players that have been doing this for a long time, you can't just copy them really.
Yeah, sure. Rory, perhaps you want to. We talked earlier about TripAdvisor for business and dealing with the brands directly. Perhaps you want to talk a bit about how you're managing that at TripAdvisor.
Yeah, so we are really a partnership-focused company, a little bit like Foursquare as well. We basically deliver great traffic, great audiences who are ready to make transactions, and we basically pass those off to our OTA partners like Expedia, Booking.com, who then they make a transaction on that site. Those are partners in the big scale. Those are kind of like big technology partners. The hoteliers are actually, it could be like a mom and pop, bread and breakfast run by one person, or it could be maybe a smaller hotel business. We now offer a new product through our B2B service. Essentially is a TripAdvisor hotel dashboard, and it looks great. Basically, it just shows you all the stats your hotel is getting on our website, and it shows you the different ratings and like the trends over the year, the interest in your hotel, how well it was trafficked, but also we're also able to tell you about your competitor hotels and other hotels in your city or on the same streets in the same neighborhood, or maybe your sister hotel in a different city or a different country that you want to see how you compare your business to another hotel the same size. So these are great. It's a great analysis, and because our website is so highly trafficked at 200 million monthly uniques, there's a lot of people coming to our website. Then our stats are really relevant to hoteliers, because it's a very good indication of how well they're doing or how well they could do if they make a few changes here, there, and there. And it's just a great way to extend our service not only to customers like myself and yourself, but also to our hoteliers who are also a beneficiary of our website and part of the overall ecosystem.
I think that's a great point for the app developers out there too. I mean, we have dashboards for our merchants, and that was one of the first things we built. People just love seeing information about themselves, their place.
Data,
yeah, and it's just cool, even when it's a small place that might only be getting 10 check-ins a day, to see the male-female breakdown or the age breakdown, the time of day people checked in. It's just really cool, and I think it's something that ultimately you can have a freemium model and play around with and generate revenue off of.
Yeah, and Rory, what are the key data points that you would sort of direct a hotelier to say if A, they're doing brilliantly, or B, their things are starting to go down the pan?
Well, I think like any infographic and any analysis will show different sides of your business. So it could be showing like the number of positive reviews in the past week, and maybe like in the first week of June, maybe you had like 20 negative reviews. So it's just a way to say, well, what happened last week? It's a way to kind of capture your hotel or your restaurant in the future as well. That'd be good with restaurants, but to capture like what happened to your business in the past week. What did you do something different? Was there a different customer service personnel? Was there something wrong with maybe, I don't know, the plumbing or something? It's a way to capture what happened to your business within a snapshot. But the metrics are very much around how many people saw your ranking, how many people went to that hotel, how many people checked it, or actually like maybe clicked on a few buttons on the photos. So if I need to get more photo clicks, which gets me more traffic, more transactions, how do I encourage more photos on our website? So it's all these kind of small things we're trying to help the hoteliers be more successful. It's part of our mission too, to help our partners do well. So we're really willing and really open and transparent about how they can become more effective as well as businesses who are using our site to gain exposure, but also to capture that really important traveler who has so many choices for hotels these days as well.
Okay, so I've just been told we've got 3 minutes left, so there's definitely time for one, maybe 2 more questions before we start hitting the vodka. So there's one over here.
По панели вопрос специализированный по туристической отрасли. Я представляю продукт благотворительный фонд, специализированный по поддержке путешественников, попавших в беду вдали от Родины. В основном это неорганизованные туристы, вольные путешественники, экспедиции, которые там попали в руки пиратов, которых ограбили, которые сломали ногу на панике. Во-первых, есть финансирование, но мы не можем найти этих людей, которые попали в руки пиратов, которые где-то там в джунглях. То есть нам нужно... Да, то есть мы не можем найти этих путешественников. То есть вопрос такой, можно ли через ваши продукты, через ваши сайты, через ваши порталы находить именно людей, которые попали в чрезвычайную ситуацию. Попали в беду вдали от Родины, и им нужно прямое финансирование прямо туда, на место, где они находятся. Ну, допустим, отремонтировать ногу. Это первый вопрос. И второй, есть ли у вас в сервисах именно функционал поддержки путешественников, которые попали в беду, а помощи им ждать некуда? Есть ли у вас уже внутри такие продукты? Если их нету, то востребованы ли эти продукты? Интересно ли, чтобы наш продукт был интегрирован в ваш сервис?
Question to you, Rory.
I like vodka as well.
Do you have anything to answer? Okay, Vadim asks if you have any services for those tourists who had been having accidents, anything like stolen by pirates, or going into, I don't know, losing all money or whatever. If you have anything integrated in your services. And the second question was, are those people, are they able to, like, he's doing the support for those people who got into the accident abroad, who were like not traveling by touristic companies, but alone by themselves. And is there any like possibility to find those who got into the accident and to send them money or something like this?
Well, so our core mission is help people make choices. I think we help people choose restaurants, attractions, how to get there from A to B, a map. We may provide some information like on who to call locally if something happens, but we can't take responsibility for our customers when they are abroad. We let customers do whatever they want when they go abroad, go on water slides, go jump off cliffs. This is what people like to do. So we're not able to help in that way, but if they want to leave reviews or tips about hotels they stayed at, restaurants where they feel maybe the service wasn't quite right, or if they got a really bad stomachache, had to go to the hospital, they can leave that review as well. But we can't necessarily help customers once they're in destination. It's not really our responsibility. And we wouldn't want to take that space over from local authorities, who probably are the best people to go to when you come into a difficult situation abroad.
Raises an interesting point about negative reviews and tips, though. I think it's been an issue for the space for 10 years, where you had a 1 to 4, I'm not going to name names, but 1 to 4 stars doesn't really tell you enough, right? You can have one bad experience with one bad waiter and give it 1 star and really bring a rating down of a restaurant. But if you have hundreds and hundreds of reviews, you should be doing very sophisticated analysis, semantic analysis, and patterns of usage. We do a rating in Foursquare based on, do people who know what they're doing go back, right? I mean, if they check in multiple times, even if they said they didn't like it or they had bad service, they probably were just in a bad mood that day. So, I think kind of getting through negative sentiment is a challenge in crowdsourced UGC stuff.
Okay, we have time for one last question, otherwise we'll wrap the panel up. Okay, well listen, let's thank the panel, give a round of applause, but stay where you are for the moment. Thank you all for staying right to the end. And before I hand over to the organisers, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting us all here. A terrific event, really well done. And the panellists, I think we're going to jump off the stage to close the conference, okay? So get ready with your cameras. 3, 5 and wide. 3, 2, 1.
Bravo. Okay, now I will just tell us a couple words about what we're gonna do next. First of all, I want to thank everybody who came here and who stayed till the to the last second. Really, thank you. And also, I want to thank our partners, so the Vostok Ventures and Digital October, Avia Sales, and Ubank. And now, next year, we also will have this MBLT conference here in March or in May. Follow us, follow the Twitter, follow the hashtags. You can see the Instagram. Hopefully, there will be much more pictures from today's after party. And also, all the conference has been recorded, so probably next week, you're going to find all those videos and presentations on YouTube. Just write to any organizers and we will send you links and something. And it will be all on the website, official website of the conference. And now we are all moving to the after party. So who is in? Just stand up and let's go with us. Thank you very much.